just standing around waiting to pull people out. You'd be talking about pulling people out of the rubble at this point. The mayor reminded people across the country there are 170 hospitals in New York City, and aside from St. Vincent's, the principal nearest hospital, which lost, among other things, its emergency power, I think, and lost its gas operating facility at the time, wasn't it, John?
That was Beekman Downtown, or New York Infirmary, that lost its steam power. St. Vincent's then actually had to bear the brunt of this.
And so people have gone directly to hospital. I don't quite understand, Cynthia, the who's going to come to Chelsea Piers until they begin to rescue people, hopefully, from the rubble itself.
Peter, the initial thought, and of course, as you know, we've been to Bellevue today, a couple of other places. There have been hundreds of people at area hospitals, as you note, but they don't believe that anywhere near the full weight of this has yet been uncovered, that there are hundreds and thousands of people who have been injured in this blast, and that's the people that they expect to bring here.
Okay.
St. Vincent's is saturated at this point. They're intending, now whether this happens, but the emergency medical services that's running this medical operation intends to bring no more patients directly to hospitals. They will all be brought here first for medical attention and for triage out to other hospitals.
What they've been talking about is the large number of walking wounded.
Yes.
They've literally shuttled to Battery Park and other places.
On Liberty
need a
State
place
Park.
to disperse them to.
And Cynthia, you're on the extreme west side of Manhattan, close to the Hudson River, and Bellevue Hospital is on the other side of Manhattan, close to the East River. How hard has it been to move around the city?
Tough. Strange, though, Peter, because there are lots, thousands of pedestrians earlier in the day, people trying to get anywhere. But as we came down Fifth Avenue, we were the only car for blocks and blocks and blocks. You could see all the way down Fifth Avenue, thousands of people walking on the sidewalks, and you could see the plume of smoke at the end where the World Trade Center used to be, and you could smell the smoke.
Okay.
So the city's strangely empty, but of cars, but not of people.
Let me go downtown to ABC's Bob Jameson. Bob.
Peter, as you may know, number 7 World Trade Center collapsed a short time ago. I'm not sure whether you've reported that yet.
We reported it, Bob, and we saw it.
You did see it, so you know that has collapsed. Additionally, we understand that the Millennium Hotel, which ironically was the Vista Hotel that was damaged during the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center, now a Marriott, is also severely damaged and in danger of collapse and may indeed be on fire. And additionally, it is being reported that the Rector Street subway station, which is beneath the World Trade Center, has also collapsed. That cuts off, of course, the number 1 and number 9 subway lines, which run from Lower Manhattan to Upper Manhattan on the west side along Broadway.
Okay, thanks very much, Bob. We now understand that there are explosions in Afghanistan tonight, in the capital of Kabul. The capital, Kabul, which is the capital of Afghanistan tonight. And we have not got any clue as to what that represents, but you will recall, if you've been near this television set all day, that the leadership of the Taliban is very, very militant, secretive government in Afghanistan, born out of the violence of Afghanistan, to which the United States and the Soviet Union were both party in the last 10 years, where much of this terrorism, by the way, is born in some ways, and certainly trained. Afghanistan has been, since the 1980s and 1990s, on the cusp of the war between the United States and the Soviet Union, India and Pakistan and Kashmir all next door. And Kabul in Afghanistan has been at the heart of it. And here is some video from Afghanistan, courtesy, and we thank them very much, of CNN, who happened to have somebody there, and we had no idea what it is. But there was, we are told now, an explosion in Afghanistan tonight.
Pictures from Afghanistan from Al Jazeera on our London line.
And we're also seeing pictures. We're talking to our foreign editor here, Chuck Lustig, at the moment. We're seeing other pictures now, Chuck. Am I right? From
sorry.
These are pictures now from Al Jazeera, which is the Middle East Broadcasting Company in the Persian Gulf. So we can pull those pictures down from London in just a moment. And that's Al Jazeera. So it may well be that the people who got these pictures out, and much more likely to have a staff cameraman being able to operate in Afghanistan, is the Middle East News Agency, which has put them out to everybody. And CNN got them on the air, and so do we. But this is not And we have no idea what it means. And I suspect that can we listen just a little bit of this? I suspect this is the correspondent on the right who may be talking on the telephone from Afghanistan, and likely in Arabic.
عمليات قصف ضخمة وكبيرة للغاية على الدولة التي تعتبرها ترعى الإرهابيين بغض النظر عما إذا كانت هذه المعلومات صحيحة أم لا التي أعلنتها قيادة طالبان.
I'd like to say that I can pick up some in Arabic, but I have no clear idea what he's saying. But it is clearly the correspondent for the Middle East Broadcasting, pretty certain the correspondent for the Middle East Broadcasting Service in Afghanistan, which is a huge story for all of the world. It's a huge story for the United States because the United States believe that is where the Taliban give sanctuary to Osama bin Laden. It is a huge story in the last couple of weeks because a number of Christian missionaries or aid workers to Afghanistan have been on trial there, in secret trial, accused of proselytizing in the Muslim community. The Taliban are troubled by any standard. Here is the mayor of New York, Rudolph Giuliani.
And evacuation efforts can go on unhindered. 14th Street North in Manhattan will be open, but it's going to be very crowded.
It's excellent. We can see all the way across the city. It lies on a plain that's surrounded by the mountains here in Kabul. We have high mountains to the right. These mountains were used by the Mujahideen as vantage points for shelling the city several years ago during the Mujahideen infighting in Kabul. The last 5 years, the Taliban have been in control of this city, have been trying to extend their control over and across Afghanistan. And the foreign minister this evening telling journalists and CNN that he didn't believe that Afghanistan would be attacked. He said if Afghanistan was attacked, then the Taliban would call it an act of state-sponsored terrorism. Joey.
All right, that is CNN's Nick Robertson. Again, please keep the line open to us. Nick Robertson there in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Let's give this some perspective. Yeah. The attack apparently directed at Osama bin Laden, who they believe is holed up in Kabul. It was on June the 20th that bin Laden, who owns a number of airplanes and has trained pilots, this guy is a multi-billionaire, issued a statement to his followers saying it's time to penetrate the U.S. and Israel. And it appears now that that is who they are targeting with this attack tonight.
You know, we also know that bin Laden was indicted for bombing 2 U.S. embassies in Africa back in 1998. Many people believe also was involved in attacking the USS Cole. A $5 million reward was out for him, probably much more now, and they're thinking that they're going after him right now in Afghanistan, where they think he's being sheltered.
And he has yet been sentenced. He's been convicted, right. And he's awaiting sentencing. If anybody can...
They can never find him.
If they can grab him and bring him over here, yeah.
Alrighty, continuing on here, the terrorist attacks that devastated New York and Washington and Pennsylvania certainly sent surrealistic shockwaves everywhere, including here in Northeast Ohio.
Local leaders are taking no chances when it comes to security. Our team coverage continues with Fox 8 News reporter Bob Sermoneri in downtown Cleveland.
Dick. Well, shortly before 10 a.m., a man locked in the bathroom on board United Flight 93 called an emergency dispatcher yelling the plane had been hijacked. The man also told dispatchers the plane was going down after an explosion, and that's exactly what happened. Flight 93 was heading for Camp David, that's what the reports say, the presidential retreat in the mountains of Maryland. 45 people were on board that plane. Well, the attacks also put the Akron-Canton Airport at its highest possible security level.
The airport was contacted by the FAA to be prepared to land 6,000.
Flew home. I was supposed to be there on Sunday.
About 250 passengers were diverted to the airport, not the 6,000 expected. Summit County Emergency Management and the local Red Cross helped find accommodations for those travelers.
Thousands of passengers all over the country are stranded until at least noon tomorrow.
As Channel 3 News reporter Kristen Anderson tells us, passengers at Cleveland Hopkins say that they were left in the dark for far too long, considering the close call they'd had.
Hundreds and hundreds of passengers and nowhere to go, and many have no idea why.
Everybody out, like cattle, everybody out.
You don't know what's going on. You're wondering, what is going on?
But what they did know, every single flight canceled. This group was already in the air when they had to circle the airport to land again.
And then the stewardess came on in a real quavery voice, and she said, President Bush has closed or grounded all flights.
That's when they knew it was serious. This family was just minutes away from heading to Manhattan where it all started, and they still don't know if their family back home is all right.
My son and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law are in Manhattan. We hope that and pray that they're safe.
Greg and Jan at least have each other and a bit of a sense of humor about their wedding on Wednesday in Las Vegas. That's probably going to be postponed.
I do have the wedding gown and my suit and the ring.
But we don't have our shoes.
We got shoes on.
Yeah, we can go without our dress shoes.
But like most everyone else here, they say their inconvenience pales in comparison to what the families of the victims are going through. In Cleveland, Kristen Anderson, Channel 3 News.
Passengers